to discuss the outlook as well as demand trends from here on, well, we're joined by the management currently on the show. Hi, sir. Thanks so much for joining in. Well, let's get in a couple of numbers then. Earlier, you were talking about a 15% growth on the revenue aspect. Could you tell us whether or not you stick to that? And what about margins? Select input costs have cooled off while you have some kind of easing as well. What do blended margins look like, Keshav, from here on?
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on the show. In terms of revenue growth, we are still quite bullish. I think we will meet and exceed the guidance that we have given. The market remains good. Short term, there is a little bit of pressure because of raw material inflation, as you have mentioned. But I think with that easing out now, going forward, the rest of the year looks quite strong. On the margin front, we have maintained that we will do 13 to 15% EBITDA in plywood, 14 to 16 in laminates, and 25 plus in particle board and MDF. And I'm sure we'll be able to meet those numbers.
Okay, in fact, your plywood segment, Keshav, has done exceptionally well. It's doubled compared to what we saw last year. And I guess expectedly so, because demand for real estate, etc., has gone up in a big way. Tell us, what will the sustainable growth rate be, particularly for the plywood segment?
You see, last year, the base was very low because Q1, COVID had impacted substantially and we were very badly affected in the plywood sector. But yes, this year we have done well in the first quarter. Going forward also, we are confident of good growth. I think 15% plus growth for the year looks achievable.
That's for the plywood segment. So this 15% growth, what does it mean in terms of the margin picture? Because I reckon that your margins may also move to double digits. You're almost there now at 9.5% margins for the plywood business. How much could it move up by?
I think on an annualized basis, our target was 13 to 15%. Q1, because of raw material pressure, was substantially lower. But we also front-loaded a lot of our marketing expenses. Going forward, I'm very confident that we should reach 13 to 15% before the end of the year. Second half of the year, H2, we should hit those numbers.
Mr. Bhajanka, is there any demand issue in the near term which is emerging? I was talking to someone who was pointing very markedly to that, saying that it's not. There seems to be some demand issue near term for whatever reason. I mean, can you confirm that?
I think, yes, demand is not as robust as it was, perhaps due to, the raw material costs going up substantially. If you look at homes, cement, steel, everything has shot up. But I think it's a short-term phenomenon because if you look at the basics, real estate demand is still very good. I think residential real estate sales have been posting record numbers. So short-term, a quarter, 2 quarters, there might be a little pressure. But otherwise, we are very confident that, demand is going to be robust. And us being the industry leader, we're going to grow faster than most.
All right, Keshav, your shareholders, I think, are liking what you're saying because as we speak, the stock has moved to the high point of the day. It's recovered most of its losses. But, even customers will want to know, what's the plan? Are you going to be increasing prices from here on? Give us a sense on that aspect. Quarter 1, you took some price increases. Quarter 2, have you taken? If yes, what is the quantum? And also, what is your market share? Since you're growing at a faster clip, you would be gaining market share, right? Quantify that number.
Yes, definitely. Our market share was closer to 5%, prior to COVID, and I'm sure we have substantially increased that. The only problem is that in our industry, getting proper data is a bit of a difficulty because of so many unorganized units being there. But you're 100% correct. We have definitely increased our market share. In terms of price increase, earlier you mentioned that raw material prices are somewhat cooling off. So right now, I don't see any further price increases. The price increase we took in quarter 1 was due to raw material costs, but now that is sort of tapering off.
So what's the market share now and how much has it gone up by?
Again, it's a little difficult to quantify because of, but I'm sure that we would have increased our market share from, say, a 5% to at least a 5.5% or more.
Okay. And what do you think the sustainable realizations could be, even in terms of volumes for MDF, for that segment? I think in FY22, your realizations were about 31,200 or so. How much could it go up by?
For the current year, we had forecast that, we'll be at a similar realization. Right now, they're a little bit higher and There are no signs of any price reduction. So perhaps they'll be slightly higher on the MBF side than last year.